Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nimnaganam yatha Ganga, Devanam achyuto yatha, Vaishnavanam yatha Shambho, Puranamidam tatha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Just as the Ganga is the greatest of all rivers, Lord Achyuta, the supreme among deities, and Lord Shambhu, Shiva, the greatest of Vaishnavas, so Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of all Puranas. So let's try to understand the Shiva Tattva. It's very, very complex. In fact, for myself also, I always had this desire to do some research and try to understand what is the Shiva Tattva all about. Always there's a confusion. Who is this Lord Shiva? Senior devotees say that he is not a living entity. He's not Vishnu also. Then who is he? We just have few tattvas which we understand. So what are the three tattvas that widely known in the Vaishnava community? Vishnu tattva, Jiva tattva, and Shakti tattva. So all the Vishnu tattvas, all the different incarnations of the Lord, all the forms of the Lord, they are called as personality of Godhead. And there is one supreme personality of Godhead, that is Krishna. So we have personality of Godheads. So we have all these different forms of the Lord. You name it, any Vishnu incarnation, this is called as personality of Godhead. So Vishnu Tattva. And when it comes to Jiva Tattva, so by the way, Vishnu Tattva is Swa Amsha. So there are two types of expansions of the Lord, Swamsha and Vibhinnamsha. So Swamsha, so it's his own expansion, and Vibhinnamsha is separated one. And that separated expansion is called as Jiva Tattva or living entities. There's all of us. And then when it comes to the Shaktis, the various energies of the Lord, they come in the category of Shakti Tattva. So we have the internal potency of the Lord and the external potency of the Lord. We have Srimati Radharani and we have Srimati Durga also. So they come under Shakti Tattva. So in this way, we have Jiva Tattva, then we have Vishnu Tattva, Jiva Tattva, and then Shakti Tattva. Now, if the question comes, Shiva comes in which Tattva? So, is he Jiva Tattva? The answer is no. Is he Vishnu Tattva? The answer is no. Then, what is this all about? Who is this personality? What Tattva he belongs to? And there is a fourth Tattva for Lord Shiva, and that's called as Shiva Tattva, or also called as Shambhu Tattva. So, this point is very, very important to note that he is a different category altogether because he is Krishna but not Krishna. Let's try to understand the statement now. Now, see, we have various Devi Devtas. So, all these different Devi Devtas, there are different positions that we have. And various living entities of this world, they acquire that position. You name it, and that the position is available, and you do the necessary activities, gain enough punya, and go to that place. We can become Indra, we can become Chandra, we can become Surya. You can try and see. It works. Srila Prabhupada, in one of the plays, he made the statement that if the devotees are not doing intense bhakti, they'll go to heaven. And one devotee was sharing 80% of the devotees can go to heaven. Yes. No? We are all aspiring to go to Goloka Vrindavan, not to heaven. No one is interested, or no one should be interested to go to heaven. So here, one thing is very clear that all these Devi Devatas are positions, and different personalities acquire that position. Like we have Surya Dev, it's a position. And as of now, Vivaswan has acquired that position. Indra Dev is a position. Purandar has acquired that position, and next Manvantara, Bali Maharaj is going to acquire that position. So, in this way, position and personality. Hope this is clear. But when it comes to Lord Shiva, no living entity can take that position. No living entity becomes qualified or can become qualified to become Lord Shiva. Not possible. One can try becoming Indra, Chandra, Varuna, etc., but one cannot become Lord Shiva. So this is the point in a way, which is very important to note. And when it comes to Lord Shiva, he is also personality of Godhead. Like we have other Vishnu tattvas, they are called as personality of Godhead, and Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead. Similarly, Lord Shiva is also personality of Godhead, but he is not supreme personality of Godhead. So now here comes the confusion then. Then easy Vishnu tattva then. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in the commentary to Brahma Samhita, he says, Shambhu, who is a separated portion of Govinda, imbued with the principle of a subjective plenary portion. So, who is Shambhu? He's a separated portion of Govinda and he's in the mood of servitorship, subservient to Govinda. So, he's not Govinda, but he's subservient to Govinda, he's separated. So, see the position of Lord Shiva. He's personality of Godhead, but he's separated from the Lord. Like we are Vibhinnamsha, we are separated from the Lord. And when it comes to Vishnu Tattvas, they are with the Lord. So there are two distinct ones. That is Swa-amsha and Vibhinnamsha. But now when it comes to Lord Shiva, he's in between. He's not Swa-amsha also, he's not Vibhinnamsha also. He's personality of Godhead, but he's separated personality of Godhead. I hope this concept theoretically at least will be able to understand. Talking about the qualities, to understand more deeper where he actually stands between Jiva and Vishnu, where he actually stands. How many qualities Lord Krishna has? That's it. 64 only. He has unlimited qualities, and 64 are prominent. He has got unlimited qualities, and 64 are prominent. And when it comes to Jiva Tattva, how many qualities they have? For sure, not unlimited, limited. And there is a number to that. What is that number which Chaitanya Charitamrita talks about? Huh? 26 is not devotee qualities. 50 qualities. 50 qualities living entities have. Lord Chaitanya, when he was speaking to Sanatan Goswami, this is in Madhya Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 23, shloka 77 onwards. He says, Jiveshva ete vasantopi bindu bindu taya kvachit paripurna taya bhanti tatraiva purushottame. So these 50 qualities are there in full when it comes to Supreme Lord. But when it comes to the living entities, bindu bindu taya bhati, extremely small amount of these qualities are present in living entities. Sometimes it might be there, sometimes it might not be there. If it is there, then it is in minute quantity. So this point has to be clearly understood. All 50 are not there in full. In living entities, they are there in full when it comes to the Lord. But there are 5 more qualities which are not there in living entities. And these qualities are there in Girisha. Atha pancha gunaesyur amshena girishadishu. So there are 5 extra qualities which are there. So 50 qualities are there in Lord Shiva. That too for a great extent. And extra 5 qualities which living entities don't have. And these 5 qualities are there in Lord Shiva. Now the question comes. So these 5 qualities are there in full for Lord Shiva? And the answer is no. Therefore, they said amshena, portion or little, but to a great extent as compared to the living entities. So amshena. So small amount of these 5 qualities is there in Lord Shiva, but all these 55 qualities are there in Lord Vishnu. Okay, what about Vishnu Tattvas, the other incarnations of the Lord? So there are 5 more qualities. So 60 qualities are there in all the incarnations of Vishnu. All the Vishnu Tattvas, all the expansions of the Lord, all the Swamshas you can say. But now the question comes, what about Lord Krishna? How is he supreme? He has got 64 qualities, 4 extra qualities. We'll not get into these different qualities, just for information we should know. So you see, living entity, 50 qualities, Amshain, a little. Supreme Lord, 64 qualities to the full. These 50 qualities are also included in the 64. And in between, we have Lord Shiva with how many qualities? 55 qualities. And that also, yes, for a great extent, but then in full is present in Lord Krishna. So, in this way, we understand that how Lord Shiva is in between the Jiva Tattva and the Vishnu Tattva. So, he's separate, he's Shambhu Tattva. So, what are these 5 qualities? Sada Swarupa Sampratah. That is very nice. Sada Swarupa Sampraptah. Lord Shiva also is an eternal personality, as I already said. He doesn't change. So he is always situated in his original position. He will never change, like other Devi Devtas or we living entities. And then, okay, another point is, like we change bodies, he will not change bodies. Why? Sat Chit Ananda Sandrangah. His anga, his body, is Sachidananda. We are also Sachidananda. But as of now, we believe that we are there in this body which is Asat, Achit, and Nirananda. So we are stuck in this body. And we are fully confirmed, fully realized I'm this body and not spirit soul. Yeah, when we get ill, when we get sick, we are fully realized at that time. I'm not this body. I'm not the spirit soul, I'm this body. Pakka. So when it comes to Lord Shiva, he's Sachidananda Sandrangah. Another very important quality, Sarvagyaha, is all knowing. Like Lord Krishna is all knowing in the material world. Nitya Nutanaha. You will never find paintings, traditional paintings of Lord Shiva with white beard, white hair, and all that. Nitya Nutanaha, ever youthful and fresh. He never becomes old like Krishna. Sarva Siddhi Nishevitaha. He is that personality who possesses mystic perfections. He has got a lot of mystic potencies, mystic powers. So in this way, we understand that how Lord Shiva, he has got these 5 qualities. Obviously, the quantity might be less as compared to Lord Krishna, but he has got these 5 qualities more than as compared to the living entities of this world. So in this way, Lord Shiva or Shiva Tattva is there between the Jiva Tattva and the Vishnu Tattva. Now let's try to make it more complex and try to go deeper and understand. See, when it comes to creation of the Lord, there is something called as Tripad Vibhuti and Pada Vibhuti. Tripad Vibhuti means 3/4 of Lord's creation, and Pada Vibhuti means 1/4 of Lord's creation. So 3/4 of Lord's creation is the spiritual world. That's called as Tripad Vibhuti. And that place is eternal. That place is full of bliss. And that place, all the living entities, they're devotees of the Lord, always immersed in devotional service. So that is normal residence. And this is Pada Vibhuti, or 1/4 creation of the Lord. And this 1/4 creation is a prison house. So all the normal citizens are there in that place, and all the criminals are put here. 1/4 of creation. Now, see, one important point to note that when it comes to normal citizens, yes, Lord can take care. He is Leela Purushottama. So when he is Leela Purushottama, he is always busy doing his Leelas with all his devotees in the spiritual world. He can just ignore all this kachara of this material world. All prisoners, go hell with them. He can ignore also. But Krishna never ignores any living entity. They are my part and parcel. How can I ignore them? He does not ignore. So even when we are there in the prison, Lord Krishna takes care of us. The first thing that he does for all of us is he does this entire creation. How this material world comes into existence? If we talk about the Purusha avatars, how does it come into existence? So first is Mahavishnu. How does Mahavishnu create? By his, before glancing, he breathes. He exhales and all the universes come out. And then he glances on them. And when he glances, then all the living entities are impregnated. Now, a very important point. See, when it comes to Lord, He doesn't create, wherein he's going and painting and putting bricks and cement and all that. No, he doesn't do that low level job. That is delegated. When it comes to Lord, simple, sa aikshata. He glances and the creation is done. This is our Lord. Very difficult to understand. Yes. Another description that comes is he just wills and everything is set, everything is done. So now here comes the question, where is Lord Shiva? Another very important thing to confuse all of us. The Supreme Lord is Gunatita. He is beyond three modes of material nature. Now, when he is beyond three modes of material nature, how is he coming in touch with material nature? When it is said that he impregnates the material nature, it means he's coming in touch with Maya. He's coming in touch with material nature. If that is the case, then how is he Gunatita above three modes of material nature? There is something in between that happens, which only devotees know who read Shastra. And what happens in between? Lord glances, and when that glance comes in touch with the material nature, that glance manifests as Sadashiva. So Sadashiva is that personality who impregnates the material nature. Now the question comes, what is the praman for this? Because when Krishna says, Aham Bija Pradapita, it's Krishna who is Bija Pradapita. He's the seed giving father. He's very clear in Bhagavad Gita. What is the praman? And the praman is there in 8th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th chapter, where Lord Shiva is drinking poison. So in that particular pastime, all the demigods they approach Lord Shiva. And there, Prabhupada is writing a purport, and in that he gives praman. He says, when the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 14, chapter, shloka number 4, that he is the father of all living entities, Aham Bija Pradapita, this refers to actions performed by Lord Vishnu through Lord Shiva. So this refers to actions performed by Lord Vishnu through Lord Shiva. So impregnating the material nature, Lord is not doing himself. Instrument is there. Who is that instrument of the Lord? Lord Shiva is the instrument of the Lord. So wonderful. It is there. Everything is there in Prabhupada's purport. Somehow we just skim through and don't study, so that's the problem. Okay, now let's try to understand this more deeper. In Brahma Samhita, the famous shloka, whenever we talk about Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna, we talk about the shloka. Everyone together. If you all know the shloka, we can chant together. Shiram yatha dadivikara vishesha yoga sanjayate nahi tata pritagasti hetuho yah shambhutam api tata samupaitya karya govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Yes, Brahma Samhita is very nice. The last line everyone knows. Now here comes a very, very important shloka. And to this particular shloka of Brahma Samhita, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gives a very complex purport. If you want, you can read and try to understand. Very complex. At least, for understanding this, I might have read it 4 or 5 times. What is actually he trying to say? Now, in this, the analogy of milk and curd is given to make us understand the tattva, that is Shiva tattva. Basically, the comparison between Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva. So, two substances are mentioned here, milk and curd. Kshiram and Dadhi. So, Kshiram means milk and Dadhi means curd. Now, it's very important to note that milk, when it comes in touch with some sour things or some culture like bacteria or whatever, that gets transformed into curd. Now, similarly, when Lord Vishnu is glancing, that glance, when it comes in touch with the culture of this material world, and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he writes, when this becomes adulterated, so at that time, this personality comes into picture, that is Sadashiva or curd. So milk getting transformed into curd. Now here comes the question, is curd same as milk? Is curd same as milk? Yes. This is what, whenever some question is asked when it comes to Siddhanta, yes or no, the answer should be both. Because we come from we understand and we come from the lineage of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and our philosophy is Achintya Bheda Bhed, simultaneously yes and no. So here the answer is yes, because when it comes to curd and milk, both come from the same source and both are dairy products. Similarly, when it comes to Lord Shiva, easy same as Lord Krishna, answer is yes. He is also personality of Godhead. But again, it's no. Now you cannot have preparation, say you're making sweet rice and you put curd in that instead of milk. So that will not be sweet rice. I don't know what it will be. Similarly, see, when the curd is not able to replace the milk, similarly, one thing you have to understand is that there is a difference between the two personalities, Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna. They are different. So he is personality of Godhead, but he is not supreme personality of Godhead. Now, this is also a very important thing to note, that milk can become curd, but curd cannot become milk. Correct? Yes. So milk can become curd. What does that mean? Lord Krishna can do anything and everything that Lord Shiva does. So Lord Krishna can be called as Lord Shiva, but it cannot go the reverse direction. Lord Shiva cannot be called as Lord Krishna because he cannot do everything that Lord Krishna does. See how deep this tattva is. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he writes, the supremacy of Shambhu is subservient to that of Govinda. In the work of mundane creation as the material cause, mundane creation, he is involved in that. In the work of preservation by destruction of several asuras, and in the work of destruction to conduct the whole operation, Govinda manifests himself as Guna Avatar in the form of Shambhu, who is the separated portion of Govinda imbued with the principle of his subjective plenary portion. So this Guna Avatar aspect is also very important to understand. See, when it comes to Lord Shiva, he is the incarnation of which mode of material nature? Which guna? Ignorance. So now when we say Lord Shiva is in the mode of ignorance, so do we mean that he's in ignorance? How can he be in ignorance when he's always Sachidananda, he doesn't change with all those five qualities that we discussed? How can he be in ignorance? So whenever we say that Lord Shiva is the incarnation of mode of ignorance, or in the mode of ignorance, it means he displays and manifests various qualities in ignorance to do his seva that is assigned to him. He is actually not in ignorance. This has to be clear. Because if this is not clear, then we'll commit offenses. Therefore, here it's very clear that Lord Shiva is that father of this material world. But when we consider both material and spiritual world, we understand it's Lord Krishna. But when we take only material world, there is no harm in saying that Lord Shiva is the father because Durga is the mother. Therefore, very beautifully, Kalidas in his Kumar Sambhava, which Prabhupada quotes multiple times, he says, Jagataha Pitaro Vande Parvati Parameshwaro. So, who are the parents of this world? Shiva and Parvati. They are the parents of this world. Okay, we understand all this. But what about this Sadashiv, Shiv, Shambhu? There's so much of complication. Along with that, Rudra is also there into picture. How to understand these different terminologies? Are they same person, different person? If yes, no, what is the difference? What is the similarity? What is that? Has to be understood. See, like we have three Vishnus. We have Mahavishnu, we have Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and we have Shirodakshay Vishnu. So only when someone is asking us about difference between different personalities, different forms of Shiva, then we should first tell them, do you know about Vishnu? If you don't know, then there's no point in understanding different forms of Lord Shiva. Because only when you understand these different forms of Vishnu, it becomes a bit clear that, okay, he's the same personality, but he's doing different activities. His activities are different. From Mahavishnu comes various universes. Then his expansion enters, his plenary portion enters the universe. And in that universe, the various other creation happens, the first living entity that is created is Brahma. And then when Brahma does the secondary creation, then he enters each and every atom as Shirodaksha Vishnu or Paramatma. So now you see, distinctly we can see that services or the activities that these different Vishnu incarnations are doing, the Purusha avatars basically. Similarly, when it comes to Lord Shiva or Sadashiv, they have different activities to do. Like for example, when it comes to Sadashiv, he is involved in creation. When it comes to the glancing part, impregnating the material nature, all that is the role of Sadashiv. And now when it comes to Rudras, how many Rudras are there? 11 Rudras. So these 11 Rudras are involved in destruction. They are involved in destruction. So therefore, whenever we say that what is the job description of Lord Shiva, we say destruction. And when we talk about creation, we think of Brahma. When it comes to maintenance, we talk about Vishnu. And I heard a very nice fact that this trinity that we talk about, that is Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, this all came into picture, during Britishers' time. Because Britishers talk about this trinity. I wrote it somewhere. Britishers talk about this trinity because that's there in Christianity. They say that the unity of Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are three persons, Trinity. And they started preaching all that. So at that time, our Brahmanas, they said, we also have Trinity. We also have Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And from that time onwards, it became very much known everywhere that they are the Trinity. But one thing we have to understand is that even Lord Shiva does all the three. He does creation. We understood how the creation, he is involved in creation. We understand how he does destruction. And along with that, we should also understand he also is involved in maintenance. Tell me one example of maintenance which Lord Shiva is involved in, or who was involved in one of the pastime. What maintenance aspect did Lord Shiva help in? Yes, poison. Amazing. Hmm. So when the poison came out of Samudra Manthan, just imagine if the poison would have spread everywhere. So at that time, we would not be sitting here discussing about Shiva Tattva. So it was Lord Shiva who came there and he drank the entire poison. And look at the power of this personality. He drank the poison and he was able to hold it in the throat. Hmm? We cannot hold a rasgulla in the mouth. We cannot hold a rasgulla in the mouth. He held poison in the throat. Can you imagine? And therefore, his name is Neelakantha because that poison made his throat Neela or blackish. And therefore, his name is Neelakantha. So wonderful. Such an amazing personality. If this service was not done by Lord Shiva, where is the question of existence of living entities? He is also involved in maintenance. That is the point that is made here. But Lord Krishna makes a statement in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, Shloka 23. Rudranam Shankaraschasmi. He says, out of the 11 Rudras, I'm Shankar, I'm Shiva. Oh. So now Sadashiva is there, Rudra is there, and in that Shiva is also there. So the prominent among the Rudras is called as Shankar or Shiva. Now this Shiva term is a generic term that can be used for Sadashiva also, and it can be used for Rudras also, depending on what job description is there for these personalities. If someone talks about creation, now this Shiva is Sadashiv. When we talk about annihilation, then this Shiva is Rudra. And this Shiva who is there with Parvati in the spiritual, in the Sadashiv Lok. And when it comes to this Shiva, there in this world, doing various activities as the parents of the living entities, then yes, he is one of the Rudras also. Therefore, widely known fact about Lord Shiva is annihilation. Many times you will see that when Lord Shiva's painting is made, he'll be made like a ferocious person who is ready to annihilate everything. But then when he's there besides Parvati, he's shant. Yes. So Lord Shiva is setting an example. What should an husband do? Shant, chupcha bro. In fact, it is so nice. Lord Shiva is such a wonderful householder. So when the demigods came to him, that poison has come out of Samudra, please come and please accept this drink for yourself. At that time, Lord Shiva first goes to Parvati and he takes her permission. Can I go? Hmm. And at that time, Parvati gives permission. ठीक है, जा सकते हो. And Lord Shiva goes and does the job. On a serious note, Lord Shiva goes and informs that this is what is service I've got, I'm going. So very nice to see that all the husbands and wives of this world, they're in parampara of Lord Shiva and Lord and Parvati. So it's very nice to see that how they're actually parents of this world, in various ways, in various ways. Therefore, this is the distinction between Sadashiv, Shiv, and Rudra. I hope this is clear. Now, talking about the different dhams which are available in this world, we have Devi Dham, and that is this world. This world is called as Devi Dham. And who is that Devi? Durga. And this world is called as Durg. Durg means fort. And the caretaker of this fort is Durga, who has got a trishul in the hand, and that trishul represents the three kleshas. Adhyatmika klesha, Adi Bhautika klesha, Adi Daivika klesha. Sufferings caused by body and mind, other living entities, and the natural calamities or the nature. Then above the Devi Dham, above this entire material creation, is there spiritual world. That's called as Haridham. And this Haridham has got different sections. The lowest one is Vaikuntha planets, where the different incarnations of Vishnu are there. And above that, Ayodhya Dham, where Lord Ram is there. And then we have the topmost is Goloka. Let me make it more complex. Goloka is also divided into three parts. Goloka Dwarka, Goloka Mathura, and Goloka Vrindavan. Where do you want to go? We want to go to Goloka Vrindavan. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says that the topmost planet in the spiritual world is Goloka Vrindavan. So in this way, we understand that is spiritual world and this Devi Dham. Devi Dham, Hari Dham. Oh, in between there is something called as Mahesh Dham. So this is above the Viraja river, the causal ocean. So on the causal ocean is what Lord Mahavishnu is lying on. But above the causal ocean is this Mahesh Dham. And it's very nice to note that Lord Shiva, who is above the causal ocean, is not affected by destruction and this and that of this material world. Is above all that. And there is a very nice description that is given in the Goloka chart. If you refer ISKCON's Goloka chart, very nice description in the form of painting, where there's something called a Sadashiv Lok that exists. But there is this round structure that is made. We have Brahma Jyoti, yes. So part of this planet is there in Brahma Jyoti and part of it is there in below. Now that part that is there in Brahma Jyoti, that is effulgent and that is called a Sadashiv Lok. And the part that is below Brahma Jyoti, that is called as Mahakal Lok, which is dark. And very nicely it is described that the time factor of the Lord is associated with this Mahakal or Lord Shiva. So when you say Lord Shiva, all these different personalities come into picture. All these different names will come into picture. You can imagine such a great personality. Such a great personality. So many times, people say that Lord Shiva can also give mukti. But then when it comes to Vaishnavas, they say, no, there is only Mukunda who can give mukti. The one who can give mukti is called as Mukunda, and that Mukunda is Krishna. But you know what? Both are true. Lord Shiva can also give mukti, and Lord Krishna can also give mukti. How to reconcile these two statements? Very nicely it is described. The father of this material creation is Lord Shiva. He is the father of this creation. He is the in charge of the material creation. And whenever we talk about in charge of the spiritual creation, a spiritual world, that is Lord Krishna. So one very important thing to note, Lord Shiva can do all the transformations needed in this material world. In this prison house, in this prison cell, he can do all the changes necessary. He can do the needful. And along with that, one point to note, he has got the key. He has got the key of this material world. And Krishna has got the key of the spiritual world. So Lord Shiva can unlock the door and send living entities out of this material world. But where will they go? because the key to the spiritual world is there with Krishna. So only when Krishna opens the key to the spiritual world, at that time the living entities can enter the spiritual world. Therefore, it's very nice to note that max to max, these personalities who are unlocked by, or when Mahesha or Lord Shiva unlocks this material world, and when the living entities go out, when people say that he's awarding mukti, so at that time, max to max, they can go till Brahma Jyoti or something like that. They cannot go beyond that. They cannot enter spiritual world. When it comes to Mukunda, only he can award that liberation, which is called as Vaishnav liberation, be it Sarsti, Samipya, Salokya, or Sarupya. These liberations only Krishna can award, and that is going to spiritual world and living with the Lord eternally. So I hope this is clear. What sort of mukti Lord Shiva can give, and what mukti Krishna is giving. A very nice concept. The keys of material world are there with Lord Shiva. Now tell me, is he an ordinary personality? Is Lord Shiva an ordinary personality? He is very, very great. He is next level. There is no comparison with Lord Shiva in this material world. There is no entity whom we can compare with Lord Shiva. He is owning the key of this material world. Can you imagine? And he owns this entire material world because his Ardhangini is Durga. And she is that personality who is taking care of the entire place. So in this way, we understand that how Lord Shiva is Muktidata, but then he can give Mukti only from this material world. But the actual Mukti is given by Mukunda, who allows the living entities to enter the spiritual world. So in this way, Lord Shiva is a very, very great personality, no doubt about that. So creation, we understood that how he does creation. I'm talking about Lord Shiva. He's involved in the glancing part, impregnating part, etc. We understood about how he participated in maintenance. When it comes to destruction, Shiva does destruction in the form of his Rudra forms. He does destruction, and his destruction is very nice. How do Lord Shiva get involved in destruction? Just by dancing. Can you imagine? Just by dancing. Just by dancing, Lord Shiva destroys this entire world. I heard a very nice concept that this destruction that is there is not something evil. This is a necessary element in the entire cycle of creation. Necessary element. When we talk about forest fire is also a necessary element for the forest to survive. How? See, there are many creepers and many unwanted, shrubs and bushes and all. They are burnt at that time. And there are many trees, which are grown, but now they're dead. They're still standing, and they block the sunlight that is there. So when this particular thing happens, forest fire, all these things are burnt, and the young trees which are there, they get a chance to grow. And that's how the entire forest is maintained. So when it comes to destruction, it's an important element of the cycle of creation. And can you imagine, Lord Shiva plays an important role in the cycle of creation just by dancing. Now there is no singer around. How does he dance then? Huh? With his damru. Yes, he plays his damru and he dances. And therefore, whenever this Bharatnatyam and other dance forms which are there, they worship Lord Shiva in the form of Nataraj. It's called as Nataraj. So you'll see that entire deity, where the hair are out, having so many forms, and he's dancing. He's Nataraj. When he dances, that's really very, very ferocious to look at. Very, very dangerous dance that is there. Now, with every beat of Damru, something is getting destroyed. In one hand, he has fire, where he lights fire everywhere. In the other hand, he has Damru, and he goes on jumping like that and dancing. Therefore, I always say that in ISKCON, the Youth Forum boys comes in the lineage of Lord Shiva. Because when it comes to Lord Krishna, his dance is very graceful. Even when he was dancing on the hoods of Kalia, it was very, very graceful. He was dancing and dancing, and it was so graceful that all the Gandharvas and Apsaras, they were looking at, even we don't dance like this. We don't dance like this. And when it comes to Lord Shiva, he used to just Tandav and he destroys this world. So in this way, we understand that how, when it comes to Lord Shiva, He gets involved in creation, maintenance, and destruction, all the three. Lord Shiva has got a very wonderful quality. He is Rudra, at the same time, he's Ashutosh. He gets easily angry, and at the same time, he's easily pleased. Give me one example from Shastra. Ravana is an example. Ravana was in his own mood. He wanted to conquer Kuvera, and Kuvera is there in Kailash. And Ravana had that audacity to lift the entire Kailash Parvat. And Lord Shiva is there in his meditation. And Lord Shiva, he gets disturbed, he gets angry. And in that anger, he doesn't do much. He just pushes his toe on the ground a bit hard. And the entire mountain goes down with force. And just imagine Ravan's fingers were there below the mountain, and the mountain is there on the ground. So his entire hand, or both the hands, I don't know if 20 hands were involved in that, all that was crushed. And at that time, he was told, by one of his associates, start glorifying Lord Shiva, appease Lord Shiva. If you appease him, you'll get everything. And then at that time, Ravan, he's a Brahmana, he knows Sanskrit. And with his eloquence of Sanskrit, he started glorifying Lord Shiva, choicest prayers. And guess what? That angry personality became pleased to such an extent that he gave a sword, to Ravan as a gift. This is Bholenath. Easily gets angry, and at the same time easily gets pacified, Ashutosh. Therefore, it is said that in this material world, people go behind Lord Shiva because he's easily pleased. Bhasmasur was one of them. Can you imagine Bhasmasur? He pleased Lord Shiva, and then when Lord Shiva appears in front of him, Bhasmasur is asking that give me a benediction that whosever head I keep my hand, that head should burst. Tathastu. Yes. Lord Shiva gave the benediction, and Bhasmasur is going behind Lord Shiva to try the benediction given by Lord Shiva. He wanted to touch the head of Lord Shiva. He wanted to give Ashirvad to Lord Shiva after getting Ashirvad from Lord Shiva. Now, see, Lord Shiva's benediction is as similar or identical to himself. Now, Lord Shiva knows that this is very powerful benediction that I have given, so he started running. And rest of the pastime, he knows that how the little Brahmana boy or the Mohini, she comes. Lord Vishnu himself in this disguise, he comes and he helps Lord Shiva. And like this, we have so many pastimes where Lord Shiva, he becomes angry, at the same time he gets pacified very fast. So many personalities worship Lord Shiva, and they can be categorized into two. The first category is all the ghosts and goblins, and the other category is great yogis. See the dress that Lord Shiva wears? Firstly, he hardly wears anything. He has got snakes on his body, scorpions on his body. From the crematorium, fresh ash from the crematorium he'll take and put it all over his body. He has skulls on his body. And he has got his various ghosts and goblins around him. So one thing that we understand is the rejects of this material world. Who wants to associate with ghosts? If there is any sound at night and there is no one and you're the only one and you get to know there is a ghost, I don't think you'll be happy. Oh, I'm so happy to meet you. Run away from that place. No one wants to associate with ghosts. They're rejects of this material world. And look at Lord Shiva's merciful nature. After all, he's a Vaishnav. He's very, very merciful. He accepts all of them. All the ghosts and goblins. He accepts all of them. And by the association of Lord Shiva, they get purified and they get delivered. This is the glory of Lord Shiva. So he associates with the inauspicious entities of this world, but still he's Shiva, and Shiva means auspicious. Therefore, you'll see that many people have the name Shivam. Shiva. What does that mean? Auspicious. So he associates with inauspicious entities, but still he remains auspicious. And since he's auspicious, we have the other category of people who worship him. They are the great yogis. And therefore, one of the name of Lord Shiva is Yogishwara. And Lord Krishna's name is Yogeshwara. So the Ishwara of all the yogis is Lord Shiva. And Ishvara of all the mystic powers of all these yogis is Lord Krishna. Therefore, he said the topmost or the personality who has all the mystical potencies or the Ishvara of all the mystical potencies is Yogeshwara, that is Krishna. So, in this way, we see that how different personalities of this world they take shelter of Lord Shiva and they get purified in various ways. Very nice to note that he's Yogeshwara, and if you have to be a yogi, you have to leave the family. But when it comes to Lord Shiva, he has a family, he has a big family. He has his two kids, Ganesha and Kartikeya. He has various snakes on his body. He has a wife, a beautiful wife. Maintaining all of them, still he is the Ishvara of all the yogis, which is a great contradiction, but reconciles in Lord Shiva. And very nice thing to note that even after having all these different powers, Lord Shiva is a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Therefore, the shloka that we chanted, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. In all the Vaishnavas, Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnav. And even in Srimad Bhagavatam, when there is a list of Mahajans that is given by Yamaraj in 6th canto, at that time, in the first line itself, it says, Swayambhu Narada Shambhu. Can you imagine? Lord Shiva is that personality who goes around preaching the glories of Lord Krishna to such an extent that he has got one sampradaya in his name called Rudra Sampradaya. And Vallabhacharya comes in this line. And this sampradaya exists till now in Gujarat and some parts of Rajasthan also. Can you imagine such a great personality is Lord Shiva? But still, when it comes to worshipping Lord Shiva, there is one danger that is there. See, when it comes to the devotees of Lord Krishna, they go and ask the Lord, oh Lord, please give me this, please give me that. And Lord Krishna is like, Hat. Kuch bhi mangta hai. There's a praman for this hut also. Huh? Just like that, I'm not saying. There's a praman in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Lord Krishna is saying, Krishna kahe ama bhaje mage vishay sukh amrit chhadi vish mage ei bada murkh. The Krishna is saying that these people, they worship me. And what are they asking? The Bhage Vishay Sukh. Oh, they're leaving the nectar and they are asking for sense gratification. Ami Vigya, Krishna is saying. Ami Vigya, but I'm intelligent. Ei Murkhe Vishay Kene Devo. So it's very nice, where Lord Krishna is saying that he is asking me sense gratification, but I'm intelligent. He is Murkha. Why will I give him sense gratification? At that time, Lord Krishna is saying, Swa charnamrita diya vishai bhulaibo. I'll give my own lotus feet to him and make sure that he forgets all the sense gratificatory desires. Haribol. Because of this reason, many people of this world don't worship Lord Krishna. Because they know very well, इनके पास जाके फायदा नहीं है. Because the entire history of devotees getting benediction from Lord Krishna, there it's very clear the devotee goes with the intense mood of sense gratification and they're asking Lord Krishna, give me this, give me that. And Lord Krishna is like, keep coming, I'll give you. Keep coming, I'll give you. And what happens? That devotee becomes a pure devotee. And then Lord Krishna is asking, you were asking this, I want to give you. What do you say? You want it? You're like, no, I don't want anything. Kuch ichha nahi. I don't want anything. Swamin kritharthosmi varam nayache. Dhruv Maharaj is saying, Bichara kitna tapasya kya? 6 months, one full semester he did so much of tapasya. And then and that tapasya was not an ordinary tapasya of, doing Ekadashi like ourselves, eating 3 times. His tapasya was so intense. His tapasya was so intense that finally, towards the end, he was just living on air. And after that, he was not even breathing air. And all that was only for one Abhilash, and that was Thana Abhilash. He wanted kingdom greater than his great-grandfather Brahma. And Lord Vishnu appears in front of him. And Lord Vishnu is asking, Bacha, what do you want? What do you want? And at that time, looking at Lord Vishnu, Dhruv Maharaj is saying, Swamin Kritharthosmi Varam Nayache. Oh Lord, I've got your darshan now. I don't want anything. And Lord Vishnu is like, no, no, I'll give you, I'll give you. Like, no, I don't want. No, you have to take. And Dhruloka was given to him. And after getting Dhruloka, look at the purification that happens when it comes to devotees who approach the Lord Krishna. He was so very purified that after getting Dhruloka, he was feeling so guilty and he was lamenting, why did I ask the Lord this particular thing? This was the lamentation that was there in the heart of Dhruv Maharaj. And when it comes to Lord Shiva, anyone who goes to Lord Shiva and whatever they ask, Lord Shiva being so merciful, tathastu, go ahead. And that's how Bhasmasur asked that give me a benediction by which I can burst anyone's head by keeping my hand on their head. And Lord Shiva, amazing benediction. Take it. Hare Krishna. And what happened after that? Yes, he had to learn. So when it comes to worship of Lord Krishna takes the responsibility of the devotees. But when it comes to worship of Lord Shiva, the personalities who are worshipping Lord Shiva, they have to take the responsibility themselves, what to ask and what not to ask. So there's one danger that is there. There's one danger that is there. But still, he's such a great personality. Therefore, the last thing to understand is what is the proper mood of worshipping Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is speaking to Parvati in Padma Puran. Parvati is asking, what is the best worship? And Lord Shiva is saying, Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param. And Parvati is thinking, Are, Vishnu aradhanam param. That is the topmost worship, but I am worshipping you. And at that time he says, Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param. Tasmat parataram devi tadyanam samarchanam. But worshipping the devotees of Lord Vishnu is much more greater than worshipping Vishnu. And Parvati was like, okay, chalo, good. Because I'm worshipping you. Now, this is a very important thing to note that when it comes to worshipping Lord Vishnu, when it comes to worshipping Lord Shiva, what is that worship all about? How to worship? So when someone is approaching Lord Shiva and asking for material gains, he is not doing proper worship. But when someone approaches Lord Shiva in the mood of a devotee, considering him to be the topmost Vaishnav, and when we approach him and ask for Krishna Prem, that is the right mode in which we can approach him. Many times people say that even we can go to Sadashiv Lok and we can become eternal, but the worshippers of Lord Shiva only, they cannot go to Sadashiv Lok. This is a Shastric injunction. They can max to max, Lord Shiva can unlock the door of this material world, max to max they can go out. But they cannot enter the spiritual world because Sadashiv Lok is part of spiritual world. Who can go to Sadashiv Lok? Those people who are in love with Lord Shiva but worshippers of Lord Krishna. How do we understand this? So there are many devotees, who are worshippers of Lord Krishna. They understand Krishna's supreme personality of Godhead. With that understanding, they have attachment to Narasimhadev or Lord Ram or something like that. So they will go to those respective planets because they understand that Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead. And then they're attached to one of the forms of Krishna. Then they can go to the respective loka of that particular incarnation. But when someone says that Krishna is not supreme personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva is supreme personality of Godhead, this is not acceptable. That person cannot go to spiritual world, not possible. And you take the example of any devotee. Here we are saying Shiva is topmost devotee. When Lord himself came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of a devotee, and when devotees around would glorify him, you're Krishna himself. And at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being in the mood of a devotee, would close his eyes. Vishnu, Vishnu, what are you saying? How can a living entity become Krishna? This is the mood of a devotee. Once when some disciples of Srila Prabhupada started propagating this nonsense that Prabhupada is Krishna, Prabhupada was very angry. And for some time, Prabhupada suspended them from ISKCON. This is the mood of a devotee. They cannot hear because they feel this is nonsense. They feel bad when they are compared to the Supreme Lord. Now tell me, when people glorify Lord Shiva's Supreme Personality of Godhead, will he feel good? Obviously, he will not feel good. But when someone glorifies him as a topmost devotee, or just a devotee, he is very, very pleased. And such people who understand Krishna to be Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they are attached to Lord Shiva by whatever reasons, they will go to Sadashiv Lok, they will go to the eternal planet. Even when it comes to our acharyas, in Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, this mood is very clear. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he was in the South Indian tour, when he went to Madurai, to Shiva temple and Meenakshi temple, there the priests were looking at them that, "Kahan se aa gaya?" Because at that time there was a great fight between the Shaivites and the Vaishnavites. Yes, or the Vaishnavas. Shaivites and the Vaishnavas. And there's a great fight going on. And no Vaishnava would enter, because Sri Vaishnavas I'm talking about, they would not enter into demigod temple. And here, when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati entered the temple of Lord Shiva and Meenakshi, and all the priests were completely astonished and surprised. At that time, our Acharya, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he made the statement very nicely, and he said that when we visit the temple of Lord Shiva, we worship Lord Shiva, not independent God, not as an independent entity, but as a personality devoted to Lord Krishna. That is Vaishnavanam Yathashambhu. Therefore, here we understand very clearly that there's no difference between Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna, but there is difference. And that difference is he is the servitor God, where he's serving the Lord in various ways. And Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna only. In this way, Lord Shiva is a very, very glorious personality. Therefore, whenever we get chance, when we go to Vrindavan and we have these different, Kshetrapal, we have Gopeshwar Mahadev, Chakreshwar Mahadev, Kameshwar Mahadev, and Bhuteshwar Mahadev. In these different places of Vrindavan, devotees go and beg and pray to Lord Shiva that please grant me pure devotional service to the lotus feet of Krishna. So whenever we have these auspicious occasions, devotees go to Lord Shiva's temple, they beg and pray to Lord Shiva. The mood is very clear that how Lord Shiva can bestow his blessings onto all of us. Therefore, in this way, when it comes to us, we don't reject Lord Shiva. We accept Lord Shiva as the greatest devotee and we worship him, understanding his actual tattva and making him pleased by glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Because when it comes to Lord Shiva, he himself is in the meditation all the time. Whom is he meditating on? He's meditating on Sankarshan. Yes. Sankarshan is the expansion of Balram. So he's meditating on Sankarshan all the time. So why will he not be pleased when someone glorifies Sankarshan or Balram or Krishna? Why will he not be pleased? Therefore, it is described the devotees of Lord Krishna are devotees of Lord Shiva by default. The other way might not be true, but this is for sure. Therefore, on the auspicious days like Shivaratri and other days, we have to beg and pray, to Lord Shiva that you are such a great devotee. You please bless me so that I can also render some service to this mission of Krishna consciousness by spreading this message of Krishna consciousness and glorifying your Lord, Lord Shri Krishna. Thank you very much. Lord Shiva ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.